Hello, everybody. Here we are again for episode 26 of Dead Money. Got a lot of funny stories from this past week, a lot of crazy hand histories, a lot of stupid things were said, and wow, it was really just a crazy 4 days over this Memorial Day weekend. We're going to start with Friday. I'm just going to do everything in order. So the first hand I played, and probably in my first orbit, I raised to 20 with King Jack offsuit, middle position. I got three-way with the button and one of the blinds. Comes ace 10-8, rainbow. I bet 30, the button called. The turn was the 10 of clubs, two clubs, another 10. Check, check. I thought for a while before I checked the turn. River was a blank, it was a deuce. And I decided I'll just say hello to the game and bet 3 times the pot. I bet 355. He folded right away. He probably didn't fold an ace, given that he didn't even think about it. He may have folded the same hand. Maybe king, queen, maybe king, jack. So, yeah, I mean, maybe this obscene size was not necessary, but nevertheless, it worked. Next hand I got into is a 3-bet pot. Someone made it 20. I made it 60 with jacks. We got a cold call from a very fishy action player. And the razor called. And the flop stunk for me. It was jack, jack, 10, 2 hearts. So I got 4 jacks. They both check. And, you know, it's really tempting to check here. But I think with the fish in the hand, and if either player just has like anything, they're probably not going to fold to a small bet. So I bet 30. And the original razor called. The turn is the king of hearts, so now we got 3 hearts. Possible straight flush. He check calls 60. I only bet a quarter pot. So river's an ace. Got 4 to a strat out there. He checks again. I bet 240, and he tanked for a while. And maybe I guess I understand why. I mean, he called with ace-6 of hearts. So he turned the ace-high flush, said I can't really beat much. And yeah, I mean, it's true. You can't beat that much. But it makes me wonder if I had checked the flop, you know, how differently could this have played out? So now we get to our first funny comment of the day. I raised to 20 with ace-10 off. One of the fish called in the small blind, I think. The flop was jack 3-4 rainbow. He check called 20. Turn was the 7 of diamonds. I think I had the ace of diamonds, or it may have been no. I had the 10 of diamonds, and he check called the pot. It was 80. Figured if he has a big hand, he's going to raise. Otherwise, he's just going to have a lot of pair plus hands that will have to fold to a lot of rivers. He could just have a jack also, but I was actually thinking of blasting a ton of rivers, but I got there. I hit an ace. So he checks, and I bet really small. I bet 60, quarter of the pot. And, you know, when fish are having big days and winning like this guy was, I mean, this is one of the few hands he lost. They don't pay off as much. So he folds, and then he says, like, I'll give you $50 to not show an ace. So he's challenging me to show both cards, neither of which an ace. And, of course, I wouldn't be able to meet that challenge. He was right. Although it's just kind of funny that he wasn't willing to call $60 to see my hand and give himself a chance to win the pot. But after he folded, he was willing to just give me $50, which is only a tiny bit less than what I had bet after he had already surrendered the pot. I don't think he put much thought into this. Kind of get that feeling, right? But I threw my cards in, and he's like, oh, see, you couldn't do it. I was like, you didn't put the money out. I was like, you got to put the $50 across the line. You know, do something to indicate that, like, this $50 is going to show itself more than what just comes out of your mouth. But okay, soul read. Then we get to this hand, probably the highlight hand of the day. I raise under the gun to 20 with 10-9 of hearts. and I get 4 callers. And the flop comes ace, king, deuce, 2 diamonds, 1 heart. And in a 5-white pot, I know the typical GTO line is to just check your entire range. And for the most part, I do. I mean, you really can't go wrong. It's going to make sense a lot of times to do that anyway, but I didn't want to do that this time because no one except me should ever have aces, kings, or ace, king. And all 4 players left to act were people who I felt were going to have to fold if I keep applying pressure and the board doesn't run out in such a way that ace, king plus is now in some trouble. So first I bet 70, and I get a call from the first guy who called my initial $20 raise, and out of everybody who could have called, this was the guy I wanted to get called by the least. It's not that I didn't think he could fold eventually, it's just I'm worried about him getting the most stubborn at some point. And then the big blind called. So the turn is perfect. I got a backdoor flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. I just want the board to break out. I'm not worried about my hand improving. I'm not expecting it to improve. If it does, great. But I am not thinking about, hope I get lucky here. So the turn is a 4, and big blind checks. And because I have this huge nut advantage here, where only I could have aces, kings, or ace, king, it's just time to start blasting, especially when there's 2 guys left. Even if someone has ace deuce or ace 4, they're not going to be really happy about this if they see another big bet. If somebody had a set of deuces, I think they'll just raise the flop. I mean, I just expect so much straightforward play from everybody who went to the flop with me here that I felt like I could start getting really out of line. So I bet 450 into 310, and the guy who had called first on the flop, the guy I was most worried about, he called again, only he put in 550. And I've actually been not speaking up as much anymore in these situations. When players fuck up and put too much money in, I'm not going to do the dealer's job. If they help me out by being stupid, I'm just going to be a predator and let them fuck themselves. But this time I spoke up because I'm planning to bluff jam a lot of rivers, and I just don't want this guy looking at his stack and just, if there's anything that could fuck this up, it's because he might think, he doesn't have that much to call off, and even if it's only $100, it wasn't worth it to me, okay? So this just rolled right off my tongue. I said, hey, just take one back. And then the big blind thought for a little while, and he folded. And the river was a 9, so I got what I wanted, break. There's a possibility he could have king 9 of diamonds, which would give him 2 pair if he missed a flush draw. But look, even those hands are not going to want to see a jam. And that's what I did. And it was only about, maybe a 3/4 pot size jam. I mean, I think the pot was it was over 1,200 now, and he probably had about 900 left. He would have had 800 left if I had allowed him to call an extra $100 on the turn. And he did not snap fold, but he folded, so yay me. I mean, this was, it's definitely one of the sickest triple barrels I've run in a long time. And I don't really study solvers. I have a hard time learning that way. But once in a while, when I'm talking to friends about poker and who do look at solvers and they tell me some of the things that solvers do, I am able to apply some of those concepts to live play. And, this whole thing about raising before the flop and ace king hits the flop, it seems so obvious in hindsight that this is such a huge advantage for the original raiser, where he gets to bet really big a lot because none of the other players should ever have aces, kings, or ace king. It's just like, it's amazing how, I don't know if I ever would have thought of that. But when the solver exploits it, or rather, when the solver is using this to its advantage, it's like so obvious in hindsight. Anyway, so on we go. I raise to 20. There's 2 calls. One of the calls is from this woman, short blonde hair, looked to be in her early 60s, seemed very happy to be in Vegas playing poker for the holiday weekend. She did not call me a misogynist at any point during either this hand, this session, or even throughout the weekend since I saw her more than once. So the flop comes 8-6-4, 2 diamonds. She leads out 50. Okay, I call. The other guy calls. Turn the nuts with the king of diamonds. Now she checks. I bet 110. The other guy folded. She called. The board paired sixes on the river, and now she leads 200. Wasn't that big of a size, so I'm pretty confident that the ace-high flush here is very much good here. I don't know what she's leading here. If she had a flush, I would expect her to just either come out betting the turn or check raise it herself. Instead, she check calls turn, now leads. So I raise to 640. She thinks for a little while and folds, and then says, I guess you had a bigger flush. It was such a specific comment that it seemed like maybe she really did have a flush, but at the same time, what? Especially after seeing how she played the rest of the day. I mean, I don't know. People make comments like this sometimes. I think maybe they're just trying to save face after they did something stupid, but I'd be a little surprised if this person actually had a flush. But okay. Then I saw a really, really, really stupid bluff. I mean, I am hard on myself a lot, and believe me, I'm sure going to be later, but I have to take a moment here and really shit on this reg. So there's an under the gun raise to 15. I call in middle position with fives. The button calls. And the under the gun raiser is also a reg. The button is the reg who we're going to be talking about in a minute. The under the gun raiser is a reg who was run pretty bad against me in terms of card distribution and situations, but he's not that bad of a player. The button is someone I've not seen a lot of, but from what I have seen, he just seems like your typical run-of-the-mill 2-5, early 30s, late 20s, competent, pretty nitty regular player. And the flop comes 10-8-6 with 2 hearts. Open raiser bets 15. I fold, button calls. Turn is a 9 of hearts, which completes a lot of different things. Any 7 is a straight. Queen jack is the highest straight. And there's a possible flush. The raiser bets again, 50. Now the button raises to 200. And the open raiser thinks for a little bit and calls. And as I was watching this, I was thinking, okay, I was like, neither player could ever have a set once we get this turn card. The river is another 10. And the open raiser checks. Button bets the pot for like 450. And as I was watching this, I was just thinking, God, this guy's going to get paid off. It's like, how do these fucking nits do it? They sit there, they never play a fucking hand, and then they just go huge and they just get paid off. Why? How? He gets called, and he's bluffing. You know what he's bluffing with? 6-4 of spades. In the open raiser, I had king, queen of hearts. Now look, I guess I'll give him credit for not being afraid, but out of all the situations and hands to pick to start bluffing, what the hell possessed him to pick this one? I mean, it's only one hand. Anyone can do something stupid, but, I don't want to read too much into it. But at the same time, what on earth was he thinking? I don't even know why he called the original raise. I mean, why? Because he's got the button and we're all deep, so you got to play 6-4 of spades. I mean, okay, I guess you can sort of justify it. I mean, I don't really think it's that worth it. He had the fish in the big blind. I think maybe that's what he was thinking. I'm not even sure of that. He might have been away from the table. I don't know. But he doesn't flop very much. Faces a 1/3 pot c-bet. And all right, I don't think he needs to float here, but if he wants to, since the board can get really funky, then okay. And then he gets the type of turn card he's looking for to turn his hand into a bluff, and okay. Except the problem is, the guy bet that card. This original raiser, I mean, he gets this turn card. This is not that great of a card for him for both his range and the position he's in. Yet here he is betting now, and he's using a 2/3 size. He only went 1/3 on the flop. Now he's using 2/3. Alarm bells should be ringing, guy. And maybe the only reason he continued to go with this bluff because he felt like he needs to because he called pre-flop and called the flop. But it's like you got the turn card you're looking for, but the guy is betting it. That card is supposed to hit you quite a bit. Quite a bit that card is supposed to hit you. And he's betting into you. And then you raised 4 times his size and he called you. And then the river pairs the top card. Both of you have to know neither one of you can have a full house. This reg, who had raised under the gun, is not betting a set when he gets this turn card. Probably not even flopping a set when he only uses a third on the flop. I don't think this guy would have done that. But aside from that, he just bet called a 4-liner straight card and possible flush. And you still think you're going to get him to fold by using just a pot-size bet? It doesn't matter that he blocks full houses with his 6. No one's going to have a full house in this situation. You don't have any hearts. You don't have any strike blockers. You truly have nothing. Like when you're running good bluffs, you have, the worst hand. But you are looking for situations where you have either range advantages or nut advantages or blocker effects or a combination of everything. This guy had none of that. All he had was an interest. I mean, courage is great, but that doesn't make it smart. So, oh my God. I mean, it's just one of the dumbest bluffs I've ever seen. And it was just shocking because it's from a guy who just never seems to do anything except play good hands. But all right, next hand. Folds to me. I got Queen 10 off. I raised the button to 20. The big blind, he rechecked his cards 3 times before calling. And as the flop was coming, I said, do you want to look at your hand again? Didn't get anything. Flop comes 7, deuce, 3. He check called 20. Turn was a jack, and he check called 80. Went the pot size again. The jack also brought a second diamond, and I believe I had a diamond. And the river was 6. Everything bricked. He checked, and I went a little bit over pot. I bet 260. And not only did he called with ace-5 offsuit, and the 5 was a diamond. So he gets to feel like a genius, but it's just so sick because I have so many bluffs that he's going to lose to. If I have ace-king, ace-queen, ace-10, ace-9, ace-8, I'm going to do the same thing. If I had only a deuce, if I had only a 3, with all the many suited hands that I'd be raising the button with that can pair up with a deuce or a 3, I'd be running this bluff as well. If I had pocket 4s, I might even be tripling it off, trying to get him to fold 5s or something. I mean, it's just such a terrible call. It's unbelievable that he would call this. But not to sound all racist, I mean, it's just something you see more from Asian poker players than you do from everybody. They get so curious sometimes, especially when they start facing large sizes. But in this situation, part of why I'd be betting all the way with a deuce or a 3 or pocket 4s or just a big ace is because the hand functions as value and as a bluff. These hands can get folds from hands that are better, and it can get calls from hands that are worse. But okay, nice hand. So now we see something you don't see every day. The fish next to me had straddled, and I guess he was about to leave. Folds over to me. I got queen 5 off, and normally I would just fold this, but I limped in, and he checks. And the flop came ace 8 5. 2 diamonds. So I bet 5. He calls. Turn is a 10. I check, he checks. The river is an 8. Another 8, that is. I bet 5. And he calls. And I lose to aces full. I'm not kidding. This guy had pocket aces. He had pocket aces in his straddle, and he checked. And then he flopped top set. He faced a min bet on the flop and called. Did not bet the turn. Then rivered aces full, and then just called another $5 bet. Now, he called with a $25 green chip, so he may have thought he was raising without realizing he has to announce a raise. Let's give him the benefit and assume that's what maybe he was thinking, but I'm not sure. Let's take the benefit away, actually, because look at everything else he did. Why are we giving him the benefit now? No, I should not have done that. But, all right, he actually got the max value for me. That's the funny part. Boy, can't be too careful, I guess. So then I table changed, and I wanted to play against the Queen Lizard again. In case you forgot, the Queen Lizard is this Chinese woman who is just out to get me. She's paid me off 3 times in a row. She's determined to catch me bluffing. And we get into a pot where there's a raise, and she calls. I 3-bet the button to 60 with Queen Jack of diamonds. One of the blinds called, the original raiser called, and she called. And I flopped air, King 8-6, 2 clubs. We all check. I'm in position. Turns the 4 clubs, so there's a possible flush, even though no one's been betting. We all check again. The river is a 9. They all check to me. It's 240 out there, and the original raiser and the blind, I just got the sense, doesn't really have anything, and there's a decent chance she also has nothing. Queen Lizard, that is. And so if I bet here, I might be able to just take this. So I'd go pretty big, 390. Small blind folds. Original raiser folds. But she doesn't wait too long to call with pocket 10s, and she had a club. So pretty much a perfect hand for her to call with. She's seen me do this a lot. And, look, it's the type of line. I mean, what I'm doing is just so stupid. I'm not really repping anything except for pocket 9s or 9s and 8s. But it just gets a lot of folds. And I was a little hesitant to do it because I'm in a situation where someone knows I do stuff like this. But she's also going to have a lot of hands that are not going to be able to call. I mean, she's going to have a lot of no pair hands like ace deuce, ace 3, ace 5. So, I'm just going to live and die with it. I mean, she could even have a worse hand or the same hand. She could have 10 jack, queen jack. I mean, it's just, all right. Good job. She got me. I look forward to battling with her some more. Then I get probably into the toughest spot of the whole day, or at least the most interesting spot of the whole day. There was a raise to 15 and a call from the cutoff. I 3-bet the small blind to 80 with king 10 of hearts. And the open raiser folded. The cutoff called again. He was this weird tournament player-looking guy. I mean, he bought in with like 500-600 and had run it up to start. And, with the World Series coming and the win already running some tournaments, you kind of can just pick out these tournament players when you see them because they look like they're trying really hard. They look like they think they know a lot about poker, yet they're constantly doing things that don't make any sense. So that's what I thought I was dealing with. And the flop comes king 7 deuce, 2 clubs. And he looked kind of excited because I was thinking about betting, but as soon as the flop came, he already started putting his hands towards his chips. So let's just check and see what he does. And he overbets the flop a little bit. He bets 205. All right. Call. Turn is 5. Nothing changes. So we think. I check. And now he bets, but only 300. And by the time I match his 300, the pot's going to be a little over 1,100, and he's got about 1,000 left. And I was confident I have the best hand. I know that if I don't have the best hand, if I jam, there's no way he's folding. And it's not like I'm turning this hand into a bluff anyway, but the question is what are you going to do on the river? What do you think he's going to do on the river? Do you think he's going to bluff the river? And if the answer is yes, then you should call and give him a chance to do that because it's probably a better chance of that happening than jamming and have him call off super, super light trying to get there. So, it just depends on how well you think you can play on the river. The card I'm worried about the most seeing is a club. I don't definitely don't want to see an ace either, but we're gonna find out. So I call the 300. The river is the jack of clubs. Fuck. I check and he immediately jams. It's like 1,000 or I don't know what it is, and god damn it. Now I'm wishing I had shoved, because that way he either folds or I just get it all in with the best hand, and if I get sucked out on, then so be it. But now there's at least a chance I could get bluffed here, even though I think it's very low. I fold, and he shows the 3 of clubs, so it's as good as showing the nuts at this point. He moved seats a little bit later. He moved directly to my right. And then he said to me, he's like, damn, he's like, I'm surprised you didn't call the 1,000. He's like, I thought you were going to call. He's like, I should have bet like 500. And that's when I asked him, I was like, would you have called a shove on the turn? And he was like, no, I don't think so. He's like, I was short stacked. Short stacked. You hear tournament players use that term a lot in cash games, even though it does not apply in any context. And if it did, him being short stacked is a reason for him to call, not to fold. The more money he has if he's facing a jam on the turn, that makes it harder for him to call because he's getting a worse and worse price. If he has less money, that means he's getting better odds. That means he's getting a better price. That means he has to call more often. God. All right. Thank you for that point of wisdom, Mr. Tournament Player. But okay, on we go to the next one. I had pocket sixes this time. There was a raise to 15 and a call, and I 3-bet to 60, I think. And then the button went all in for 800. 803 to be exact. It folded back to me, and most of the time you're just going to be folding here. But the button is somebody, a reg I've been playing with for years, and he does stuff like this pretty often. Just spazzes before the flop and dumps his whole stack in, and he never has like trash when he does it, but he doesn't have a premium hand. Now there are a lot of people who are familiar with this guy, and you might recognize some of the things he says. For instance, he gets very excited when he wins. He starts giving his analysis. He might say, I flop set, I check, I know he bet, I call, I know he go all in. Talks a little bit like that. And, you feel like such an idiot when you get a ton of money in before the flop after putting in only a little bit of money with a small pair and the guy just has you crushed. It's just so brutal, but there's such a high probability that I have the best hand here. I'm only going to be a little bit ahead, but there's such a high probability that I am. So, fuck me, I call. And the flop comes ace-8-5. Great. Turn is a 4. All right, got a straight draw now. River's a 7. Yes, got a straight. Nope, didn't even need it. He had king 10 hearts, had him all the way. So, all right. Now, the thing is about his cold 4-bet, his decision to want to cold 4-bet me is fine. He sees me free bet a lot of different stuff. So if he wants to cold 4-bet, it's a good hand to do it with. He's got the button. Yeah, why not? But what this guy does not realize is he doesn't have to go all in. And not only does he not have to go all in, going all in is more likely to get him called because he's seen me do shit, and that means I've seen him do shit. And if he just makes it like 180, not only can he still get the desired result, he will get the desired result. I mean, it's just like, I think he's just so afraid of getting called that he doesn't want to have to make a decision post-flop. He just doesn't want to play the hand, so he just dumps his whole stack in. But it's like, he's played with me enough to know that, like, if he only has about 620 behind, and if he makes it 180, I don't know if I'm going to be calling that often and just going to play post-flop out of position with a really low SPR. I mean, I'm just going to be going with it or folding. So, all right. Thanks. Final hand of Friday went like this. I was about to leave. I raised to ace-10 off to 25. There was an under-the-gun limp. The next guy called, and I think there were 2 other calls. Yes, there were 2 other calls, including the limpers. So, yeah, 4 ways, and the flop was like king 6-5, all spades. I totally whiffed. And everybody checked. And the turn was an ace. And checks to me, and I checked again. And now the in-position player bet 60, folds to me, and I call. And the river was 7 of spades. No, sorry, 7. It was not a spade. All 3 spades missed. And I checked. He bet 175, about 80% pot. So it's a fairly big size, and it's a little scary to call this. I mean, really, you figure the only thing you can beat is just some really, really bizarre bluff. But I call, and he has ace-jack. Yeah. It's not a spot where people go for thin value that much. Even ace-queen people check back here. And I was thinking about this hand for a while. Is how often can I call this? Because is he going to use this size with a weaker ace, like ace-deuce, ace-3? Because if he's calling ace-jack offsuit from the low jack after the under-the-gun one raises, which is obviously really stupid, but you see people do it all the time. If he's going to be calling that, then he's going to be calling with all the weak-suited aces and betting the turn with it. Now, I don't even know if he's going to bet that big on the river with that size, but it was just shitty because it was just a one-outer on the turn to create this scenario because it had to be an ace that wasn't a spade and then have to get a clean river on top of it. But, look, that's poker. That's the way it goes. And when he turned over the ace-jack, I was like, ugh, and I just rubbed my finger on the jack, making it pretty clear that I lost to his kicker. Then he says to me a minute after, he's like, kicker? I was like, no. I said I just like I just wanted to fondle your card. All right, so I got a little upstuck at the end, but I actually had a really big day. And as I was racking up, and I think I've talked about this before, he said to me, he's like, oh, you look like you had a good day. I was like, and I just wish people wouldn't say this because they don't fucking know what you're in for. Obviously, the more you have, then it's more likely that you've been winning, but like, they don't know. They just don't know. So why would you say that? So I just always take this as an open invitation to just start like being a smartass with somebody. So I said to him, I'm like, you want to guess what I'm in for? He's like, oh, and I was like, then I took out $3 chips and I just threw them out. I was like, I'm up about this much. And he was like, oh. And he totally believed me. I was like, no, I'm just kidding. I was like, and I just walked away. But yeah, it's like, I'm trying to like get these people to think about things just a little more because you really don't know. You don't know how long I've been there. You don't fucking know anything. They just see a bunch of chips and they assume you're winning. But okay, on we go to Saturday, day 2 of 4. First hand that comes up, there's a straddle. The small blind made it 30. I 3-bet to 105 with ace-queen off. The reason I'm talking about it is because I was talking about the show a little bit at the table, and the guy really wanted me to talk about this hand, even though I actually don't think it's that interesting of a hand. I mean, it's a few things to talk about, but flop comes king 7-5, 2 diamonds. I got the queen of diamonds, and he bets 80 into me. All right, call. Turns an ace. 2 spades now. Okay. Now he bets 150, and neither of these sizes felt particularly strong. Pot's got about 700 now, and he's got a little bit more than that left. And it seems hard to get called by anything worse, but I don't think I'm going to get much action on the river either. I mean, it just doesn't feel like it feels like he's probably drawing, so I just jam. And he tanked for a little while, and he folded. It's this type of spot where if you don't think the guy is going to bluff the river, then you don't want to lay him a good price to call. I mean, so I don't know. Just trying to end the hand, I guess, because I didn't think I stood to gain much more. But only he knows. Then later in the day, I saw a guy lose a really big pot, and then he tipped the dealer $4 after losing. Never seen that before. Then I table transfer to play with the blue whale. Play with Blue, old man Blue. Man who could be 100 years old by now. And I had just lost a huge bluff to him the week before, so I'm really looking forward to getting after this guy again. There comes a hand where I raised to 20 with Jack 9 of diamonds. There's a 3-bet to 60. Blue cold calls. There's another cold call. I call. And the flop comes King Queen 8 with 2 diamonds. The 3-better bet something normal. Blue calls. I overcalled the combo draw, and then I turned the second nut straight with a 10. Yippee. I bet 325, the three better folds. And then blue calls, but as he's calling, he's like, you have jack 9 or ace jack, I call. I'm thinking, all right, so he knows when I'm bluffing and he knows when I have it. This is really great. The river pairs the king. That doesn't help the situation, but I'm not worried about it in the least. He doesn't have that much left. Pot's big, I jam, he only had about 500. He's like, I call, I have a full house. So he flopped a set of eights and turned to full house, river to full house after I turned the straight. Just a perfect freaking setup for this guy. It's kind of what seems to happen sometimes, right? After you bluff to the guy, and then he cold decks you. So, all right. I moved seats a little while later to get him closer to my right. Then we get a hand where he limps in the middle position. I raise to 30 with 10-9 of hearts. And he calls, and the flop comes ace, 7, deuce with 1 heart. So, didn't get too much of this. He check calls 30. Turn is another heart, so 3 of hearts. He checks, but I'm just going to take one off. I check and river the flush, 5 of hearts. And he bets 40 into, I guess, 120. And the blue whale does not always use big sizes with big hands. So he can have a lot of different things here. And given what happened the week before and the fact that I already lost a big hand to him, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to hit for the home run. I jam like 6 times the pot, 1,300. He calls right away, and he just has queen 7 of hearts, flops a pair, and he backdoors a higher flush than I do and stacks me. So the week before he stacked me, today I double him up, and then a couple hours later he stacks me again. So, oh my goodness. I mean, it's a good jam. He's calling with so much shit that he loses with, and good Lord, he just had the cooler. So things stayed rough for a while, and, I just didn't come unglued. I just kept playing. Was determined to stay as long as blue was there, because even though blue was playing much tighter now that he was winning and had a lot of money in front of him, I mean, at the same time, he's not a good player. I mean, anything can start to get him to come apart, and if he gets into a bad spot, I mean, things can change quickly like they always do. But then I get into a spot with another reg, this young Asian-looking guy, never seen him before. He raises 20 in the hijack. I got kings in the big blind, make it 80, and he makes it 220. Now, he was a little over 1,000 when the hand started, and I think given his stack size with the kings, it's going to be hard for me to get away from this, especially with the way the day is going, but I'm not going to. At the same time, I kind of do want to fold because time after time after time, people just are not four-betting anything except fucking aces. In position, out of position, it doesn't matter, but something was telling me to keep calling. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he was perceiving me. I wasn't playing like a nit, but I wasn't doing anything really that crazy either. So here we go. Flop comes queen 8-3. That's a little scary because you figure the one value hand you beat, queens, is now ahead of you. I check, and he only bets 10% of the pot. He's doing some solver shit. He only bets 45, and I didn't think that would be a value bet. But, all right, let's just keep going. Call. Turns another queen. Wow. Not sure if that's good or bad. I mean, I'm leaning more towards good, just because there's one combo of queens instead of 3. I check. He bets 260, goes about half pot, and I'm wanting to fold, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. I called again, and the river was another 8, so queens and 8s. I check. He jams 5-10, and also throughout this hand, I was thinking how in the past, when I get stuck in games, I'm always afraid about calling it off too light at the end. Well, not that this is a light call, but like calling in spots where I'm not going to beat any value, and I'm just afraid I'm making a stuck call to try and get myself out of it. And I tell myself, don't do that. I fold, and then I get shown a bluff. I mean, that's happened too many times. And I was thinking about this in the moment, and I decided I'm not letting this happen again. So I just call, and oh my God, he was bluffing. He had ace king. So he had one of the 8 combos I can beat bluffs. I mean, he has 1 combo of aces, or 6 combo of aces, 1 combo of queens, and 8 combos of bluffs with ace king if he's bluffing with ace king. So I was thinking about that too. And then he took a picture. I mean, you see people take pictures if they have like a royal flush or quads or something and like a huge hand they go all in with and won. I mean, this is a guy who 4-bet and then triple barreled the whole stack away, ran into kings, and just takes a picture. I mean, I don't know what he planned to do with that. Maybe he was showing his backer or I don't know what. But kind of a tough result for him. When I continue against his 4-bet, I mean, if I had queens even, I don't even know if I would have, just because it's just the fucking equity is just so bad once once people start 4-betting you, and you don't have any blockers to aces or kings. I mean, shit. But then things went shitty again after that, and I ended up having a very big loss on Saturday. Not quite as big as the win was on Friday, but definitely takes a little bit out of you. Come back Sunday, busy day again, and the blue whale is back. And I was a little not nervous playing against the blue whale, but just trying to adjust. I mean, he was playing much tighter when he had the big stack in front of him at the end of the day. When the 2 days he cold decked me twice, so I just wasn't counting on him putting a lot of money in spots where he was going to be too light. Even though he does that all the time, I started thinking maybe for a period until he starts getting beat up again, maybe he's going to stop doing that. But before he and I got into any hands together, he got really angry at a dealer. He's always so quiet until he isn't. 2 guys are playing a hand where one guy was facing an all-in on the river. He wasn't even thinking about it for that long yet. I mean, he was thinking, but it didn't go on long enough where it's time to call the clock. But then Blue Whale, he starts demanding clock, but he's sitting right next to the dealer, and he's like, the dealer didn't do anything. I mean, the dealer just dealt the hand. He seemed to be upset with her that she didn't call clock. I don't know what he was thinking. I just remember he said to her, he's like, "You're a very bad dealer." And then I said to her, I addressed her by name. I was like, "You're fine. You know, she's been dealing there for a while." Then he yelled at me. He's like, "I didn't ask for your opinion." I was talking to her. He's like, "I don't want you in my life." I said, "I'm not in your life." And then the reg from the other day, I check. I know he bet him. He starts telling us, he's like, "Go outside, go outside." He's like, "I'm 90 years old. Don't tell me to go outside." He's like, I don't have much time left. And 4 years ago, he said he was 97, and today he said he was 90, so I don't know what to believe now. But then I reminded him, I was like, "I'm not in your life." I was like, "I'm just in your poker game." I don't know what he was so upset about. But yeah, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of just old man entitlement with this guy where he thinks he's allowed to just talk to people like this. Anyway. Oh, by the way, I just remembered another hand I played with Blue on the day that he cold decked me twice. Before I lost those 2 big all-ins to him, he limped, and there were a couple other limps, and I made it 50 out of the small blind with ace-king suited, and then he limp raised to 105. And he was actually already pretty deep, and this was before he stacked me. We were probably about 300 big blinds effective. It folded back to me, and he's going to make so many mistakes post-flop that I just don't feel a need to 4-bet him and reopen the betting for him to do something. So I call. The flop only comes queen high with 1 spade. I check and he bets 125, and it's just, all right. I've seen him limp raise aces or kings or whatever. I mean, I've seen him get crazy with, not crazy. I've seen him take these kinds of lines with these huge hands. So forget it. I'm just not going to fuck with this. I'm not going to bluff him. I'm not going to float or try to hit a hand. I mean, just take it. All right. Anyway, so after the argument is settled, we just play on, and he's been being very selective before the flop, and then I raised to 20 with king jack of clubs. He calls the button, one of the blinds calls, and I flop pretty big. I think it was like king 10-5 with two clubs, so I got top pair and a flush draw. I bet 50, and he raises to 105 again, and I call, and the turn was like a 4. Nothing changed. I checked, and he bet, I don't know, like 150, 160, something like that. I called. The flush missed on the river. It paired the bottom card. It paired the 5 or whatever card it was. I checked, he checked, and I won. And after seeing that hand, it didn't occur to me until a few hours later. I need to just 3-bet the flop and just, then maybe not jam the turn, but bet turn and then jam river. He was only about $800 deep. It's the blue whale. Don't overthink situations against the blue whale. He's not going to be gambling correctly very often. And you can't just wait for the stone cold nuts against these guys. You got to take some chances against the fish. That's what makes them fish. You can afford to take a lot of chances. You can afford to play a lot of different hands, a lot of different ways. You don't have to do conventional things against them because they're not conventional. So, I guess I can see how I took to doing all this is because this guy has now whacked me 3 times in a row, and it appears to be that he's slowing down. So I can see why I did it, but in hindsight, I just think it's a mistake. So the day was kind of boring for the next few hours. Blue had actually transferred off my table, and I didn't chase him at first, but eventually I did. I went back to his game, and Blue and I would get into it again, but first, I played a hand against my friend in the big blind, and let's talk for a second about playing against friends. The easiest thing to do is just play poker. There's no pitchback, there's no soft playing, there's none of that shit. Just play. Play as hard against each other as if you didn't know each other. It's entirely impersonal what happens, and if one of them beats the fuck out of you, it doesn't mean you won't win that money back from them. So it falls to me, I make a 20 on the button with ace-jack of clubs, and he's like, all right, 80% chance I 3-bet this hand. Then he calls out of the big blind. And then he says, all right, 80% chance I check raise this flop. And the flop was 6-4-3, all clubs, so I flop a flush. And I'm thinking, yes, please do check raise the flop. I bet 20, he makes it 100, and right away I actually thought he flopped a flush. I really did. And we're both pretty deep, and the question is like, what do we do? What do I do if I think he's got a flush and I got the ace-high flush? Do I 3-bet now? We don't hardly have any history. I've only played with him a couple times. And I know he can play. So, all right, I'll just do like whatever's normal, and that's call. And the turn was an interesting card. It was a 4, so now any 7 makes a straight. And he bets 180, he bets 3/4. And I was debating for a while, again, what do I do? Do I raise to 500 and then tank the river, probably all in, which would be not a 2x jam, but it would be getting close to that? Or do I just call again? If he's got a flush, there are 19 rivers that are not good. 12 of them are going to pair the board, and 7 of them are another club. And remember this, what was it, 6-5-3 I said, or 6-4-3? Whatever it was, there were clubs that could create a possible 4-liner straight flush. So it's just something you have to take note of. I ended up calling, and then he says, "Ay-ya," and he checked in the dark. And I thought the dark check was a little strange, but I didn't think the comment was indicating that he was light at all. So I'm pretty confident that he has a flush. And I got a good river as a 10. Nothing changed. And now the pot's got 600. I got about 1,900 left. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I had a little more than 3 times the pot. I didn't want to bet 3 times the pot. I just thought even if he has a flush, if I bet that big, look, he's going to know what the situation is. I'm either bluffing with the ace of clubs or I have the ace-high flush. Or maybe even a straight flush. So it's not a situation that I don't want to lose him. So I bet 2 times the pot. This is not exactly a small bet. I bet 1,200. And he tanked and he tanked and he tanked. And he called with 9-8 of clubs. So he actually had one out. He could have won with the 7 of clubs. So really tough situation for him. It's like, what is he supposed to do? He's got a goddamn flush. It's like, if I was bluffing, I would probably use this size, but I also wouldn't continue to be bluffing with the ace of clubs calling turn or raising turn. I wouldn't have been doing it unless I was confident he did not have a flush. I would not have been trying to make him fold a flush. So that got the day turned around. And then I seat changed again, and blue was still sitting with about 800, so I think he had just been losing all day and gradually reloading. Then he limps. Another fish limps for 5. I make it 40 with pocket 10s. The flop comes queen 10 6 with 2 diamonds. So drill this one. They check to me. I bet like 120. Blue makes it 250. The next guy jams for like 700. I rejam. Blue snap calls it off with queen jack offsuits. The other guy has a nut flush draw, bricks, and I stack both of them. So that was nice. And I'm just thinking more now. Maybe it was just worth it losing that bluff to blue the week before, because if he's just going to stack off super light for the next freaking till however long he lives, I mean, it's just, bluffs are investments, and maybe sometimes, maybe in a situation like this, normally I'd rather the bluff just work, but maybe in a situation like this, it's just better that he caught you, because he's going to pay you off so much more than he would have if he hadn't. So this ended up another big day, and which brings us to day 4. And this is where things get extra interesting. You know, I was planning a 4-day week the whole time, then take a couple days off and come back and when the World Series begins. But I woke up the next day and I had a little headache. I didn't sleep that well. My eyes felt heavy. And I just kind of had like that icky feeling inside, like I know I'm not going to be playing that great. And, you know, I wanted to play. I wanted to fucking play. You know, sometimes athletes are injured and they say they can play and they do play and they play hurt and maybe they have an okay game or maybe they suck and they shouldn't have played. But you can understand them being out there. They want to be out there and I wanted to be out there too. And I feel like as a player, like I've always been like this injury prone player. I'm always getting hurt in terms of feeling like, oh, I'm not feeling it. Like, you know, when I played the 5, 10, and 10, 20 back in the day, I mean, I was only good for like 20 hours a week or less, 15, 20 hours a week. I mean, my threshold for hours was a lot less than a lot of other players because the emotions would just wear on me and I would get dejected from losing. It's just, there was always something that was keeping me out. And it's a work smarter, not harder kind of job. So it's not like I was doing anything wrong by playing my hours more selectively. I don't really like being out there unless I'm feeling really strong and good. But you know, I went in there knowing, all right, I'm probably a little off today, but I just wanted to fucking play. What can I say? I wanted to fucking play. And some days you go in there and you could have your sharpest A game all year, but it may not matter. You may not get anything thrown at you that requires you to think that sharply. So, you know, there's just always going to be all kinds of variance. It's not just the cards that run out and how you do on all-ins. There's a million different things that affect a million other things. Which is why poker is just such a gigantic mindfuck. It's just this moving target. So I get into the game, and not much happens at first, but then I get aces. And this reg, who's like, okay, but I see make a lot of dumb decisions. I mean, I think he probably wins. I mean, he makes it 15. And then this really fishy player makes it 60. And he's only about 300, 400, 500 deep. And I got aces, so I make it 150. And then this reg 5 bets me to 400, folds back to me, and it took me way too long to 6-bet shove here. And this is the first indication that I wasn't that sharp. He's not 5-bet folding. If he's 5-betting, he's going with it. I came close to calling a bunch of times, and then it just came down to, it is more likely that the flop fucks this up for me than he folds. So I just put the money in. He calls it off. I show, he says, you're ahead. The board runs out jack high, and I hold. And he didn't show kings. I said to him later, I don't think you had kings. He said he didn't have kings. He said he had a pair. I don't even think he had queens. And, you know, this is what happens with certain players is he's another guy who's seen me be aggressive in situations. He's seen me lose bluffs. And he just figures, okay, it's this guy. But cold 4-betting? I mean, this really fishy player just made it 60. I do not have a light cold 4-bet here, okay? And if I am as weak as ace king, if I am, I am not going to be 6-bet shoving on top of it after you 5-bets. I mean, I am nitty against 3-bets because people's 3-betting ranges tend to be very nitty. I mean, I keep an eye open for the occasional cold 4-bet bluff, but for the most part, I can never find any because it just doesn't seem worth it time after time after time. So this is a guy who's just completely misperceiving the situation. He thinks, oh, it's this guy. I could just go with this. I mean, no. It's like, he might have put it in with 10s. I mean, I don't know what this guy put it in with. If he put it in with queens, I mean, even then, he doesn't need to do more than just proceed against my cold 4-bet of 150 and just play post-flop and be out of position and deal with the tough situation. 5-betting, whatever the fuck he 5-bet with, it doesn't stand to accomplish very much. I mean, it's just, the only thing it would stand to accomplish is me not realizing how bad he's playing and maybe folding like, if I fold like queens or something, thinking, oh, he's going to know I don't have a light cold 4-bet here. I mean, it's like I almost got lucky in the sense that I had aces. I could have made a really big mistake here, thinking that he is playing so much worse than I'm giving him credit for. I mean, that's ultimately what happened in this hand. So he gets himself stuck, and he rebuys 1,500. And, you know, when players are stuck and tilted and everything, I mean, their betting sizes become far less predictable, as well as their lines also become far less predictable. So, you know, that's the one advantage they have for when things start going badly, is they at least are not as predictable. But that's not going to be that's not going to make up for the fact that they're just making blunders left and right after that. So it's worth it to deal with this one adjustment you're going to have some trouble with. So he makes a 20, 2 guys call. I 3-bet to 130 with pocket 7s. And by the way, after winning this hand with aces, like, I was already feeling kind of tense and just, you know, I just trying to play through it, goddammit. I wanted to fucking play. How many times am I going to say that? So he calls the 130. We're heads up. There's 300 out there. Flop comes Jack 4-5, 2 diamonds. I have a diamond. I bet 135. He calls. The turn is the 10 of clubs, 2-tone board. I check, and he instantly goes all in for, like, I don't know, 1,050, something like that. And then he said after, he's like, you got a chance to get it twice. And I actually read that strong. And, you know, I didn't really look up at him. I didn't try to get a read. I mean, it's just, when you're not in the right state of mind, it's like, even if you're aware of it, you just can't really make yourself think to do the things you're supposed to do. I think I hadn't eaten enough that week, and that was causing pretty much everything that went wrong after this, as far as how I felt when I woke up. And, you know, there are better hands I can call with. I mean, if I have ace-10, at least I have 5 outs instead of 2 for when I am behind. I'm not really sure what his value is, if he's turning a set of 10s or if he has jacks and 10s. If he flopped a big hand or a big draw, I think he would have raised either of those on the flop. So it's just, I mean, look, it's not a good spot. We know it's not a good spot, but it's just a question of, do you think the guy is spazzing and bluffing? And this would be, if there's ever a time to call this guy, it's in a spot like this one. So I fold, and he shows me the bluff. He shows me king, queen off, has king of diamonds. So he floated flop with 2 overs, backdoor flush draw, gets a great turn card, and ends up winning the pot. And, you know, it's a really bad call pre-flop when he's got 2 players left behind. I've seen him 4-bet bluff before. I mean, I don't know why he didn't just 4-bet bluff me. I mean, he knows I squeeze a lot of shit. So it's like, if you're going to get after it, I mean, doing it on the flop, before the flop would be maybe your best time to do it. So I don't know. I mean, that hand kind of woke me up a little bit. You know, feels like I walked away from a big pot. I mean, everything is retrospect. Everything is hindsight. I mean, something else I've been asking myself since is, if he had like pocket 8s or pocket 9s, or even just a 10 himself, if he has any ace 10 floats, king 10 floats, who knows how wide he's going to float. Like, is he going to use any size but jam when he bets this turn? Is he checking back, or is he just jamming? I mean, it's a problem if he's bluffing with a better hand. If I call and he just has pocket 9s, he's trying to end the hand, and he's got me down to fucking 2 outs, that's not a good spot to be in. I mean, I don't know if he would have done that. So, here's the first sign of trouble the first sign where you're on a B or C game before you even sit down. And uh, right away, almost right away, you get thrown into a tough spot and you weren't able to hit it. You weren't able to connect on what to do. And, you could go in there on a B or C game and it may not matter that day either if you don't get anything thrown at you. So this is the variance, and just kind of making my own luck here. So then we get into another hand a little while later where a really fishy player from the day before limps over a straddle. He limps the button. I make it 60 with kings in the small blind, I think I was the big blind, and the straddle called, the limper called, the button calls. The button is the reg. Flop comes 7-8 deuce, 2 hearts. I got the king of hearts. I check. Straddle checks. The cutoff fish donks, or not donks, but bets 150, and he doesn't have that much behind, and the button raised to 400, effectively putting him all in. He had about 250 left. And me and the button were really deep at this point. We had about 3,000. Now, the straddle was on, so that makes it like a 5-10 hand, but it's also still a 2-5 game. So even though it's a 2-5-10 hand, this is a 2-5 game. And people get a little caught up sometimes about, cutting the blinds in half because it's a straddle pot. But it's like the players are still who they are, and their get-in ranges are still going to be about the same, regardless of how many big blinds they're effective when the hand starts, because it's a straddle. So he makes it 400, and I think going all in is a little dangerous. I think if I'm going to raise, though, I think I should go all in, because we know the fish is calling off all in. So that's about 1,300 between the three of us just from that, plus the 240 pre-flop. So there's 1,540 there. And if this button has like another 2,600 left, I mean, what am I going to raise to like 1,300 and then let him call or risk for him re-raising? I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I don't think at this point, if I'm going to check raise, I think I just have to go all in. But he's not going to have pocket sevens or pocket eights. Could have deuces. He shouldn't have any nut flush draws. I think he would raise any suited ace. Is he getting really stupid with 8 deuce suited and 7 deuce suited and has 2 pair? I mean, does he have 8-7 off? I mean, could he have flop 2 pair that way? I mean, it's a bad spot, but I have to call the 400. I have to call the 400. You cannot fold to the 400, because here's why. We're going to be all in with the fish, and we're going to have an empty side pot on the turn. If he has a big hand, he will blast the turn. If he doesn't have anything on the turn, if he just has a draw that hasn't hit yet, he's just going to check. He has no showdown value. He's not going to bet into an empty side pot. I mean, you cannot make this mistake. You meaning me. I cannot fail to realize this in the middle of a fucking hand. And if I wasn't fucking out of sorts, I don't think I would have missed this. Because this is not that easy. This is a tricky situation to be in, but this is not something that would be that hard to figure out at the same time. So I fold, and they run it with the fish. It comes out deuce 3, nothing happens, and the button loses with 6-5 of hearts. So he flopped the full combo and lost to ace of hearts, jack offsuit. Fish just donks ace jack on 7 deuce 3, calls off, and he doubles up. So the reg didn't win anything this hand, but like, oh my God. I mean, imagine if I had shoved the flop. What would he have done with the 6-5 of hearts? Because he's going to be tempted to gamble, but it's a huge ass call he has to make, knowing that he could have his hearts dominated, knowing that it's just a bad spot. But I don't know if he would have folded. I'm not saying I should have jammed, but just imagine if I had. Hard to say what would have happened. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention earlier. When he bluffed me with the king-queen, we rabbit hunted the river, and I would have held. So this hand held as well, the kings, and I looked it up on the calculator. I was only 39% to outrun both of those hands. I mean, calling the 400 is fine. Check, check, turn. Then maybe I guess I bet tiny on the river. I don't know what it doesn't even matter. He had 6 high. Would have just folded. So it's just this is twice I folded in close spots where I know I could have absolutely should have called the 400 with the kings, and both times I have the winner, and both times I hold and just get the worst possible result both times. I mean, this is starting to get really painful now. But okay, on we go. He's I don't know how much he's stuck. I mean, he may have been stuck before I got there, the reg, and he raises to 15 in the cutoff. It folded to him. And because just the way things have been going, I thought I'd just fold pre, but no, fuck it. I keep the pedal down. I 3-bet to 65, I think, with 8-7 of spades. And the big blind cold calls and he calls. And the flop comes king 3-4 with 1 spade. So didn't get too much of this. Normally I check any, I mean, I would probably check any like pocket pair here, but I'm just going to be betting with, king X plus or bluffs. So I bet 75, big blind folds. He calls, and turn is a 6 of hearts. I pick up a gut shot. Don't have much. Bet 220. He calls. Pot has 780, and the river is another king. So I felt like this forces me a lot to not go so big. If I want, I can't. It feels like I can't really go that big now. He's not going to fold a king, but he's also going to have a lot of hands that don't want to see a triple barrel. Because he's opening so much shit. He's calling so much shit. I mean, 3-4. What was it? King 3-4 6 king. I mean, ace 3 of hearts. Flops bottom pair, turns a flush draw. He's going to fold that. 5-3, he has to fold. 6-5, 6-7. I mean, pocket fives. I mean, there's just a lot of hands that he knows are triple barrel, but he's not going to doesn't want to just torch it, okay? He knows that I know that whole thing. I mean, if he's not stuck that bad anymore, I don't know if he just wants to just torch it. So I bet 535 into 780, and he lets out a very exasperated sigh, and then he thinks, oh, the board coming into the king now. I really don't think you're bluffing. And he's just like, he's like, I'm tilted. And then he's just like, he says, here, you're welcome. And he calls, and he's got pocket 10. So this time he has a fucking real hand, and his call is fine. His call down is fine. It's just, God, this time he has a real fucking hand, but he thinks he's losing. He's fully expecting to lose. He's fully expecting to lose. And he calls and he wins. I said to him, hey, the tilt works sometimes. You can't stop torching and you can't stop winning. I mean, he's a nice guy. I didn't really get an attitude with him. I mean, we have rapport, so it's fine. But it's just, God, here's our third straight disaster with this fucking guy. Letting him bluff me, folding in a spot where I cannot afford to fold. Need to just live and die with what happens. I'm going to have an easy decision on the turn with those kings. It's an easy fucking decision. And I missed it. And this is not me playing bad. It's just, I mean, it is playing bad. It's not playing bad because I'm playing bad. I'm playing bad because I'm just completely out of sorts. And I just cannot fucking do this to myself again. Next time I fucking feel like this, I ain't going in. I can't stand this B game, C game shit. If it leads to stuff like this, it's a fucking disaster. I mean, you think about how bad these results have been. And how easily, he could have just gotten there with the king, queen when we rabbit hunted. He could have just gotten there with the 6-5. Or the other guy hits an ace. I mean, there are so many ways. Either or both of those hands could have resulted in me making the wrong decision, but it doesn't cost me any money. On another day, when things are going perfectly, you either stack the guy calling all in with the 7s, or you get bluff, but he would have gotten there. Or with the kings, I do decide to go all in and stack him in what would have been like a $6,000 or $7,000 pot. I mean, that's when you're on the other end of the spectrum in terms of, making decisions whether they're correct or not and getting the results. It's just fuck me. Fuck me. But I refused to come unglued. I stayed, on point enough. We've seen me lose this bluff. Then comes a hand where the cutoff makes it 20. I call with ace-4 spades on the button. The small blind makes it 100. Cutoff calls, I call, we're all deep. And the flop comes ace-8, 6, 2 hearts. Don't have any spades, but they check. Ace-X is the nuts here. I bet 125. Small blind calls. Other guy folds. Turns a total brick. It was like a 3, I think. He checks. Pot has, I think, 550. I bet 350. He's thinking and thinking and thinking, and I'm thinking about how big I'm going to go on the river, depending on what river comes. And he folds, and then right after he folds, he says, "I don't think he got that ace." So we have a guy who is convinced I'm not bluffing, is convinced he's going to lose, calls and wins. And then we have another guy who's convinced I am bluffing, folds anyway, and then that was correct. I mean, look, I'm sure this has all happened to all of you, where the guy, or you've done it yourself, you really think the guy is bluffing you, but you just can't bring yourself to call him. And maybe you made the correct fold by accident, or maybe you were right and bluffed and you fucked yourself. I mean, but God, can anything go any worse today? Two more hands. So I raised 30 under the gun against the straddle with threes. He calls. King 4-3, two diamonds. He check calls 40. Turn was an 8. He check called 130 close to the pot. River's a queen. Flushes miss. All the draws miss. He checks. I bet 650 into 400. He tanked and he called. So, all right. At least I got something out of that one. And, helped ease the pain a little bit from the bluff I lost. But at the same time, it would have been better to have just win the bluff, because if he folds to that 535, this pot, that's like a $1,200 or $1,300 swing instead of getting this huge call on the river. I mean, better than nothing. So, final hand, there's a raise of 15. The guy who I just hit with the pocket threes, he calls. I made it 60 with jacks. Razor folded, and the guy called again. Flop comes king deuce 4. He check calls 55. Turns a 3. We go check, check. River is a 9 or an 8. He checks again. And I bet about 20%. I bet 50. Planning to call a raise. He makes it 340. Okay, call. And he's got a set of deuces. So, well played hand by him. Because when he checks river, I am going to either value bet or bluff. So I'm not just one and doneing that situation. I might just double barrel the turn as a bluff as well, but if I'm checking back turn, it's not because I'm planning to check that many rivers. So good play by him. And look, I've felt this way for probably well over a decade at this point. I would rather play well and lose than play bad and win. Psychologically, it feels so much better. So, I won on the day. I think I won about what I was up right after I stacked the reg with the aces. After all the back and forth blood and wrong decisions and bluffs going down, or folding two bluffs, or just doing everything fucking wrong and getting the worst fucking possible result. I mean, it's just excruciating session. Excruciating. And it's just... This is all because I insisted on playing on Memorial Day. This is all fucking because I stuck to the plan. I didn't want to abort the plan, and look, I understand why I did it, but look, it was an important thing to go through, because I guess it was going to take something like this for this to happen, because if it was only like one, miscalculation that was like maybe half as damaging as any one of these mistakes were, you might just shake it off and not think it's a big deal. But I can't be going in like this. I don't like playing now that I see what's capable of happening. I mean, it's just... Fuck. But, alright. It's just one day of poker. It always feels like you lost your whole bankroll when you fucking have mistakes like this, but it's not quite that bad. So, but alright. We'll talk to you again soon. World Series of Poker is upon us. See you next time.